Russian oil and various views on it. One view was that India will no longer be buying Russian oil, and somehow it has not been communicated very well, or it's deliberately being left in a gray area. I do not know what the reality is.
Well, let me say outright that we've been presented with a very difficult challenge. Now, when it comes to Russia, the picture is entirely different, because Russia is a very, very major partner, a long-term partner, very steady partner, trustworthy partner. We have tested us policies and thinking towards us over decades, and that has bred a certain degree of confidence. And of course, in the past, they stood by us in the UN Security Council. Bangladesh got created because of them, because they kept vetoing the moves in the UN Security Council, and actually contributed to them in a very, very significant way in areas where no one else would have actually transferred those kind of technologies and platforms to us. They are in India in very strategic areas. Imagine if Russia goes out of the equation, then what do? We don't have a relationship with China. We are squarely in the lap of the West and the Americans. Not only that, if our relationship with Russia become very distant and cold, and we see the phenomenon of Russia and China working together, then where are we left out? We have no locus left in the whole of Eurasia, especially with Iran also being in that camp. And we are an Asian power, and so we can't really distance ourselves. And that's the reason why we are in the SCO, and why we also want to have close ties with, is because it helps us to balance Russia's relations with China. Russia also doesn't want to become over-dependent on China, and they know that India can be also a country with which they can try and balance their own relations with China in this triangle. So on various fronts, Russian relationship is very important and goes beyond the economic and the oil part. But even on the oil part, our largest investments abroad in oil is in Russia, and we've been looking at more and more opportunities to invest there. So now, therefore, when America says we don't buy oil from Russia, it is a very difficult issue that has been created in our relations. They're not hidden. And now, even after the framework agreement of the trade deal was signed, what does Mr. Trump do? First of all, he says that to justify why he's reducing tariffs to 18% is that Modi told him India is not going to buy Russian oil. Now, if Modi had told him not to buy Russian oil, then why did he issue this executive order to say that
monitoring and
Treasury Secretary of the USTR and the Secretary of Commerce and the chap in the White House to monitor our direct or indirect purchase of Russian oil. Now, thing is, how do we deal with this? Now, if we were to then assert our sovereignty and our strategic autonomy, and to some extent assert our self-respect, there can be an argument to say that we can say openly that this is a red line for us, that we are willing to have very close relations with the United States, but this cannot be contingent on the United States telling us how to conduct our relations with third countries, and especially very, very important countries, and especially with a permanent member of the Security Council. We have not done that because Trump is vengeful, and therefore we are now playing it safe by not openly contradicting him, but using a formulation which is so broad, which gives us a lot of latitude to do what we want. So keeping our options open. I think that since Trump is dealing with the Russians on the Ukraine conflict, and if somehow progress is made there, and some sanction relief is given to Russia, then maybe this issue will get out of the way. But the long and short is, it's not an easy situation